There was a morning, I remember it like it was yesterday, when I sat down at my kitchen table, looked out the window at the empty yard, and thought to myself, where did it all go? Not the years, not the time. I knew where the time went. The time went into the job, into the meetings, into the commute, into the worry, into the endless, breathless running towards something I never quite reached. What I couldn't find was myself. My name is Arthur. I turned 83 last November. I woke up that morning and my daughter had put a small cake on the table with one candle on it. She said, "Dad, make a wish." And I sat there for a long moment, and I couldn't think of a single thing to wish for that wasn't already behind me. That's when I knew I had to say something to someone, to you, because I have watched young people, smart people, hardworking people, beautiful people with their whole lives stretched out in front of them like an open road. I have watched them make the same mistakes I made, the same detours, the same silent surrenders, and nobody stopped them. Nobody sat them down and said, "Wait, before you go any further, listen to me for just a moment." So that is what I am doing today. I am not a famous man. I never wrote a book. I never gave a speech at a great hall. I was a husband, a father, a man who worked with his hands for 40 years and spent the last 20 trying to understand what those 40 years actually cost him. And what I learned, I would not wish the learning of it on anyone. So sit with me for a little while, because what I am about to tell you is not motivation. It is not a list of habits. It is not the kind of thing you read on a poster and forget by Tuesday morning. This is the truth, the kind that sits in your chest for days, the kind that changes something quietly inside you if you let it. Let me start with something that might surprise you. The biggest waste of a human life is not laziness. It is not failure. It is not even making the wrong choices. The biggest waste is living a life that was never yours to begin with. I want you to think about that for a moment. When you were a child, when you were maybe 7 or 8 years old, what did you want? Not what your parents wanted for you, not what your teachers said you were good at, not what your friends were doing. What did you, in the quiet of your own small heart, actually want? I wanted to build things, not houses, not furniture. I wanted to build boats. I used to draw them in my school notebooks, little sailboats with careful measurements along the sides. My father saw one once and said, "Arthur, boats are for rich men. Get your head straight." And that was the end of that. I got my head straight. I worked in a factory for 22 years. I provided. I did what I was supposed to do. And every single morning for 22 years, I drove past the harbor on my way to work, and I never once stopped to look at the water. Ask yourself something honest right now. How much of the life you are living today, the job, the routine, the version of yourself you present to the world, how much of it is actually yours? And how much of it was handed to you by someone else's expectations, someone else's fears, someone else's definition of what a good life looks like? Because here is what I know after 83 years. Most people never ask that question until it is very, very late. I was 51 years old when my wife, Margaret, sat across from me at dinner one evening and said very quietly, "Arthur, when was the last time you were happy? Not content, not comfortable, not tired but fine, happy." I opened my mouth to answer her, and nothing came out. I sat there for what felt like a full minute, searching through 51 years of memories for a recent moment of genuine happiness. And the most recent one I could find was from a camping trip we had taken 11 years earlier. 11 years. I had gone 11 years without a single memory that I could point to and say, there, that is when I was truly, genuinely happy. Does that frighten you? It should. Not because it is a sad story about an old man. It should frighten you because you might be building that same story right now, one busy week at a time, one I'll rest when things slow down at a time, one someday I'll do what I actually want at a time. Someday is the most dangerous word in the English language. I used to say it constantly. Someday we'll take that trip. Someday I'll spend more time with the kids. Someday I'll learn to slow down. Someday I'll tell the people I love exactly how much they mean to me. Margaret died in the spring of 2019, quietly in her sleep, the way she always said she wanted to go. And there were things I never said to her, not because I didn't feel them, but because I kept waiting for someday. I am asking you, wherever you are right now, whatever age you are, whatever season of life you are standing in, please understand what I am about to say with every part of you. Someday is not coming. There is only today. There is only this moment. And if you cannot find a reason to live fully in this moment, no future moment will save you. I know how that sounds. I know you are probably thinking, Arthur, I have responsibilities. I have bills. I have people depending on me. I cannot just drop everything and start living some dreamy version of my life. I am not telling you to drop anything. I am telling you to wake up inside the life you already have. There is a difference between a man who washes the dishes and feels nothing and a man who washes the dishes and feels grateful that he has a home, a kitchen, people who ate with him tonight. The dishes are the same. The life is completely different. This is something it took me the better part of 60 years to understand, and I grieve the years I spent moving through my own life like a ghost, present in body, absent in everything else. I remember my son David, when he was about 9 years old, coming into the garage where I was working on something. I cannot even remember what it was. And he said, Dad, can you come outside and play? And I said, in a little while, son. He waited for almost an hour. Then he went back inside and played alone. In a little while, in a little while, in a little while. David is 47 now. He lives across the country. We talk on the phone maybe twice a month, and he is kind to me. He is a good son, but there is a distance between us that was not built in a day. It was built in 1,000 little whiles. I tell you this not to make you pity me. I tell you this because I see the same pattern in young fathers today, in young mothers, in young people who are so consumed with building the future that they are completely absent from the present. Your children will not remember your job title. They will not remember your salary. They will remember whether or not you showed up. Not physically, emotionally, whether your eyes were on them or on your phone, whether you laughed with them or whether you were always somewhere else in your mind. And I want to ask you something, and I want you to really sit with this question rather than just scrolling past it. When your children look back on their childhood, what will they remember about you? Take your time with that one, because the answer to that question is being written right now, today, in the small moments you either choose to be present for or choose to let pass. Now I want to talk about something that nobody in my generation was ever allowed to talk about. Something that men especially have been taught to bury so deep that they forget it is there. Loneliness. Not the loneliness of being alone in a room. I mean the loneliness of being surrounded by people and still feeling completely invisible. The loneliness of going through an entire day, an entire week, speaking to dozens of people and never once saying a single true thing about how you actually feel. I was lonely for most of my adult life, and I did not know it. That is the terrifying part. I was so busy, so functional, so locked into the routine of getting through each day that I had no idea there was a hollow space growing inside me. It was only in my 60s, when things quieted down and the busyness fell away, that I felt it, that vast, echoing silence. And by then I had no idea how to fill it, because I had never allowed myself to truly connect with another person in decades. I had a friend, a good man named Harold, who I worked with for 18 years. We ate lunch together almost every day. We talked about sport, about work, about the weather, about everything and nothing. And when I retired, we fell out of contact almost immediately, because our friendship was never really a friendship. It was a shared routine, a comfortable proximity. Real friendship, the kind where a man can say, "I am not doing well," and not be afraid of what comes next. That kind is rare. And if you have it, protect it with everything you have. Do you have someone like that in your life? Someone you can call at 2 in the morning when everything is falling apart? Someone who knows the real you, not the version you show at work, not the version you post online. The actual, unpolished, complicated, frightened, hopeful, real you. If you do, I want you to call them this week. Not text, call, and tell them they matter. And if you don't, if you sat with that question and realize there is no one, please hear me when I say this is not a permanent condition. But it will become one if you do not start doing something different. Connection does not happen by accident past a certain age. You have to choose it. You have to make the uncomfortable calls, accept the uncomfortable invitations, be willing to be vulnerable with another human being, even when every instinct tells you to keep the walls up. The walls will keep you safe. They will also keep you utterly alone. Now let me tell you about something I call the great illusion, and I think it might be the single most destructive idea that has been sold to your generation. The idea that you can rest later, work hard now, sacrifice now, push through now, and on the other side of all that suffering is a version of your life where you finally get to enjoy it. I believed this completely. I structured my entire existence around it. I told myself that my 40s would be hard, but my 50s would be easier. My 50s were harder. I told myself my 60s would be the reward for all the years of struggle. My wife got sick in my early 60s. We spent most of that decade in hospitals and waiting rooms and quiet evenings that were beautiful but heavy. The reward never came, not in the way I had imagined it. And here is the truth I wish someone had carved into my bones when I was 30 years old. There is no later. There is no arrival point. There is no version of your life that begins once you have finished earning it. Life is not something that starts after the hard part is over. Life is the hard part, and the quiet part, and the laughing part, and the grief part. All of it, every season, every morning, that is your life. And it is happening right now, whether you are present for it or not. So stop waiting to live. Stop waiting until you have more money, more time, more energy, more certainty. Stop waiting until the kids are older, until the promotion comes through, until you finally feel ready. You will never feel ready. No one ever does. The people who live fully are not people who waited until conditions were perfect. They are people who decided that imperfect conditions were no reason to stop showing up. I want to tell you about the last great conversation I had with my father before he passed. He was 80 years old and I was 53, and we were sitting on the porch of the old house, and he turned to me and said something I have carried every day since. He said, "Arthur, I spent my whole life being afraid of failing, afraid of looking foolish, afraid of what people would say. And now I am 80 years old, and not one of those things I was afraid of ever mattered. But all the times I let that fear stop me, those things mattered. Those things I feel every single day." My father was not a sentimental man. He was not given to speeches or soft words. So when he said that, I felt it land with a weight that I cannot fully describe. Fear, that is what steals the years. Not failure, not bad luck, not circumstances. Fear. Fear of choosing wrong. Fear of being judged. Fear of standing in the middle of your own life and claiming it fully and without apology as yours. How much of your life has been shaped by fear? Not caution. Caution is wisdom. I mean fear. The low, humming, constant fear of what might happen if you actually became who you are. Think about one thing, just one, that you have been putting off because you are afraid. Not because you are unprepared, not because the timing is wrong, because you are afraid. Now ask yourself honestly, if you are still alive at 80 and you are sitting somewhere quiet and you look back at this moment, at this exact point in your life, will you be glad you waited? Or will you be one of the millions who arrived at old age with a suitcase full of unlived possibilities? I have sat with dying men. I spent 2 years volunteering at a hospice in my mid-70s because I wanted to understand something about the end of things. And I can tell you with absolute certainty that I never heard a single person on their deathbed say they wish they had worked more hours. I never heard one person say they regretted being too kind or too loving or too willing to forgive. What I heard over and over and over in different voices and different languages of pain was this: I wish I had let myself be happier. Not wealthier, not more successful, not more respected or admired or impressive, happier. And the tragedy is that happiness, true happiness, the quiet, rooted, unshakable kind, is not something you find at the end of great achievement. It is something you cultivate in the middle of an ordinary Tuesday, in the way you treat a stranger, in the way you speak to yourself when no one is listening, in the way you choose to notice the small, beautiful things that are happening around you every single day while you are busy looking at your phone. I am not angry at your generation. I want you to know that. Some people my age look at young people today and feel frustrated, feel like you are soft or distracted or ungrateful. I do not feel that. I feel for you. You are living in a world that is louder, faster, more demanding, more comparative, more exhausting than anything I ever had to navigate. You are being shown every moment of every day a curated version of everyone else's best moments, and being asked to measure your ordinary life against that impossible standard. No wonder so many of you feel behind. No wonder so many of you feel like no matter how much you do, it is never quite enough. But I need you to hear this. The race you are running, the one where you are trying to keep up, trying to measure up, trying to reach a level of success or status or recognition that will finally make you feel like enough, that race has no finish line. I know men who ran it for 50 years. They crossed every marker they set for themselves. They had the house, the car, the title, the respect of their peers. And they sat in those beautiful houses, surrounded by evidence of all they had accomplished, and they felt completely hollow, because they had spent 50 years becoming impressive and had forgotten completely how to simply be human. Do not let that be you. You are not a resume. You are not a salary. You are not your productivity or your followers or your net worth. You are a living, breathing, feeling human being. And the most important thing you will ever do is not achieve something. It is connect with something, with someone, with yourself. I am 83 years old and I am still learning this. That is the humbling truth. Even now, there are mornings when I catch myself feeling guilty for sitting still, for just watching the light change through the kitchen window without doing something productive. It is deeply wired into me, this need to justify my existence through effort. But I am learning, slowly, to just be here, to let a morning be a morning, to let a cup of tea be a cup of tea, to let the people I love know, not someday, but today, that my life was richer because they were in it. I want to leave you with something, not a list, not a strategy, something simpler than that. When you walk out of this moment, I want you to carry one question with you, just one. Am I living or am I waiting to live? Because if the honest answer is that you are waiting, waiting for something to change, waiting for permission, waiting for the right moment, then I am asking you, with every year of experience I have and every regret I carry, to stop waiting. Not tomorrow, not next week, today. Call the person you have been meaning to call. Say the thing you have been meaning to say. Begin the thing you have been too afraid to begin. Forgive the thing you have been too proud to forgive. The years are going. They are going right now, as you sit there, as you breathe, and they are not coming back. Not one of them. Not a single ordinary Wednesday that you let slip past without really being in it. I am not telling you to fear that. I am telling you to love it. Love the ordinary Wednesday. Love the imperfect morning. Love the life that is actually yours, with all its mess and uncertainty and beauty, rather than mourning the perfect life you imagined you would have by now. You have more time than I do, but you do not have as much as you think. Use it. Use it on the things that will matter when everything else falls away. Use it on the people who make you feel like yourself. Use it on the work that gives you meaning, not just money. Use it on the quiet, on the stillness, on the moments that do not photograph well, but stay in your heart forever. That is what a life is made of, not the highlights, the in-between. I am Arthur. I am 83 years old, and I have made every mistake I have described to you today, and 100 more I did not have time to mention. But I am still here, still learning, still grateful for every morning that finds me at that kitchen table, watching the yard, remembering Margaret, thinking about the boats I never built, and feeling somehow at peace. Because the peace did not come from getting everything right. It came from finally, in the last chapter of my life, choosing to be fully present in it. I hope you choose that sooner than I did. If something I said today reached you, if even one moment made you pause and think differently about the life you are living, then please leave a comment below. Tell me what it was. Tell me where you are in your life right now. I read every single one, and your words matter to me more than you know. If this felt like something worth sharing, please pass it along to someone who needs to hear it. And if you want to sit with me again, if you want more of these conversations, more of these quiet, honest moments, then subscribe, and I will be here. Thank you for giving an old man your time. Now go, and don't waste a single day of it.